The American way of life is something worth fighting for. I'm retired Technical Sergeant Will Bracy, and I believed that when I saw the towers fall on 9/11. On January 20th, 2025, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to end government DEI programs. Now, we've seen the reaction from the military side, and we've also seen the reaction from the civilian side. But I'm going to give you a brief overview on how we got here and what all of this means. See, I was stationed in Korea in 2020 and 2021, and we had General Abrams, who was the United States Forces Korea commander, say that all bases should start talking about diversity and inclusion, D&I, within the bases, and to continue talking about it. So at our base, we went to the base theater and we talked to the base commander on certain things that we saw throughout the military that we're talking about in some injustices and within our own perspectives. So from D&I, we went to the DEI program, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, to make sure that troops are being treated fairly and there's equal opportunities for all. So when DEI took off, we were hearing terrible stories from other bases on how some leaders were making white troops apologize for being white, apologize for racial injustices and past racial injustices that happened within the military. As a matter of fact, in the Heritage Foundation back in 2024, they said that this training teaches concepts like white privilege, internal bias, and systemic racism. And then over the years, since I went from Korea back to the United States, it just became another training just to check off and say, yeah, we did the training. So since the program did not meet its intent, and it was costing Americans millions of dollars every year, according to the American Military News, which is a news source that talks about things that are going on in the military, what now? Well, remember that Donald Trump signed the executive order January 20th to remove government DEI programs within the government. The document states that, quote, the director of the Office of Management shall coordinate the termination of all discriminatory programs, including illegal DEI and diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility mandates, policies, programs, preferences, and activities in the federal government under whatever name they appear. So this caused confusion in a lot of Americans who believe that this was getting rid of our diversity champions like the WASPs, who are the first females that were flying for the United States, or the Tuskegee Airmen, the first black pilots within America. The Defense Department immediately issued out a release saying that diversity months are now dead in the DoD. As a matter of fact, if you go over to the websites, you'll find that a lot of those pages that went for diversity and inclusion or diversity, equity, and inclusion, they're no longer there. They're 404 error, not found. The same day that the executive order was signed, however, President Trump had declared February as Black History Month. So what's going on there? Well, what do we get from all this? Well, the executive order says that the troops won't celebrate during work hours, but it says nothing about after hours. See, in the service, we do celebrate our diversity months. We celebrate Black History Month, we celebrate Women's History Month, and we dedicate these things we even celebrate Pride Month. As a matter of fact, a lot of times with these months, we use those as excuses in order to run 5Ks. And the 5K is themed around that month. So the goal of the executive order was to put work time for the military, to focus in on the job and to sharpen your profession, because remember, we are the profession of arms. We continue to keep the work in the military and make the military still the best in the world. The celebration of the events can happen after hours on your own time. So yes, we can still celebrate the diversity months as military troops, but we should also celebrate the people inspired by those months. Learn what Dr. Marion Walker did to become the first female to get awarded the Medal of Honor. Or learn why the name Benjamin O. Davis is such a great name in the Air Force. We hail them as heroes, but we also have to remember that they're human beings. They're ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. And we should highlight all of these people, even with their diversities within our armed forces. Because remember, behind every uniform, under every helmet, and behind every gun sight, even now, is another human being worth fighting for.